Video, we are going to take a look at activity 2.1.4, document the assembly using Onshape. So here we go. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at Onshape. We're going to create a new document, which is going to give us a blank part studio, and usually it gives us an assembly as well. And so the first thing that we need to do is import our parts. So we're going to go down here to the insert new, right to this little plus here. We're going to click on that, and instead of creating something, we're going to import. And then I have these step files from the activity already loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and import those into this part studio. And then I'm just going to say combined into a single part studio, and we're going to import these in. And so once these import, each one of the parts will create its own part studio. And so here you can see we have the wedge block, we have the rectangle block, and we have the arch block, each one in their own part studio. So we're going to move over here to the assembly now, and we're going to assemble these up using those joint connectors and the mate connectors that we talked about in the last video. So here we go. So the first thing I need to do is insert the parts. So I'm just going to click on insert, and then we're going to click on each one of the blocks that we want to bring in, and then I will just kind of set those out right there and hit check. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of separate those out, and I'm going to start by grounding or fixing the arch block down. So this thing can no longer move, as you can see, but the rest of the parts are able to still move. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble the rectangle block and the wedge block in the appropriate positions on the arch block. So as you can see, it looks like the wedge block kind of goes all the way up to the edge, and it looks like it's flush on this side. Looks like the rectangle block goes right behind that there with about a 1/16 of an inch gap away from the edge there. So that is how we are going to do ours as well. So let's jump over here. So I want this wedge to go kind of like right there on that edge. All right, so I'm going to start by clicking the M key on my keyboard, which is going to give me the option to choose the different types of joints. So I'm going to choose a fastened joint, okay, and I'm going to choose so I'm going to hover over the wedge face, hold shift, and I'm going to choose this corner here. And then I want to fasten that to this corner right here. So I'll hover over the face, hold shift, that'll lock my mate connectors in. We can choose that one, and now it looks like the wedge block is in the appropriate position. All right, so all good there. So we're going to do the same thing here with the rectangle. So again, we're going to hit M on the keyboard. This time, again, we're going to use the fasten mate. So I think I'm going to use this corner here, and we're going to attach it to the corner right there, and then we'll offset it a little bit using the offset feature. So underneath the red block, we're going to hold shift to lock that face in. All right, and I'll click that corner, and then we'll rotate, hover over this face. Now this is an interesting one. So you can see here that at this point, I got the blue arrow going up. If I move around a little bit, we'll get the blue arrow going in different directions. So we want to make sure that that blue arrow is facing up. So I've got it there. I'm going to click on that, and now that is in the correct point. If you catch it in the wrong direction, then your rectangle block will be either laying down or facing the wrong direction, which we can fix that using our reorienting the axes and offset and rotate, etc. But it's just easier to get it the right way the first time. So we're going to click here on offset because this block does not go all the way flush. It looks like the y-axis is kind of sticking out this way. So we want to move it in the direction of the y-axis. So if I put in 0.0625 for the offset there, you'll see that it actually moved towards me, which is the wrong way. So I'm going to need to go negative 0.0625. All right, and so it looks like it's now kind of sticks back there a little bit, 1/16 of an inch, which is what the drawing sheet said. And so it looks like our assembly is complete. So very basic assembly, but now we need to take care of kind of documenting this design. So the first thing that I want to do is, before we get into the drawing sheet, is we need to put in here the bill of materials or the parts list. Okay, and so you can see it automatically populated with like item 1, 2, and 3. And when I hover over those, it'll tell you like item 1 is the arch block, item 2 is the rectangle block, and then item 3 is the wedge block. But we don't have a lot of information in here. So under the description, I'm just going to type in there, I'm going to say arch block. And then for the description for this one, we'll say rectangle block, and then we'll put wedge block in here. All right. I don't have a part number for this, so I'm just going to right click on that, remove column, but I am going to add another column, and they have a lot of choices here, but let's choose material. Okay, and so we'll say we want material for that, and right now it says it has no material. So we need to define what that material is, and in order to do this, it would be nice if we could just kind of type something in, but what it actually does is it assigns a material to the block. But the nice thing with that is it gives us all of the material properties. So if we need to know the density, if we need to know the weight of the part, all of that could be calculated now using the Onshape material library. So all I have to do here is click on this, double click into the material, and again this is block 1, and it says we're using the Onshape material library, and I'll just click in there, and according to the PLTW document we used birch. So if I typed in birch, there it is, it's already populated, and it gives us a little bit of information, mainly just the density there for birch. We could fill in other stuff if we wanted to, but we're just going to leave that alone. So again, we're going to do the same thing with the other two. So we'll type in birch, and then this one as well. There's birch again, and check. So now we have all the information we need about this. We can add as many columns as we want, maybe cost or that kind of thing, but for right now we're going to leave that the way it is. So that looks good. So the next thing that we're going to do is take care of the exploded view. All right, and so we're going to basically pull this apart so that we can kind of give someone some guidance on how this would look. So that would be this little section right here of the drawing sheet. But in Onshape, we do this actually in the assembly, and then it carries over to the drawing sheet once we're done with that. So to do that, it looks like they want us to pull the rectangle block up, the wedge kind of to the left and up, and we'll go ahead and do that now. So over here back in the assembly, we're going to go right over here. We see this exploded views. So a little tab here on the right. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to add an exploded view. All right, so it says here explode 1. All right, it says build steps by dragging the components. So I'm going to click on the wedge, and I'm going to grab the little arrow here, and I'm going to move it in this direction. And let's move it -3. So, all right. And once we've done that, we're going to click check. And then it gives me the option to continue moving that part. So again, I'm going to move it up. And this time we're going to go 3 as well. All right, that looks good. So check. And then the block, they said to, so we'll click on the block, and we're going to move it up 3 as well. All right, good. All right, so that looks fine. But one thing that I'm not happy with on this one is just the lines, I don't know, looks like they need to go further down. So in my step 1, let's see here. Step 1, we went to the left. Step 2, we went up. So I'm gonna do the one that goes up because I want this line to come down further. So I'm gonna double click on explode step 2, and I'm gonna click edges, vertices, or faces. All right, and then I'm gonna choose the bottom face. So right now what's happening is the line is going from the middle of the block. So if I choose that edge, now it's going from the bottom of the block, and you can see it makes a little bit more sense, right? So it looks like I'm gonna have to kind of do that on step 1 as well. So edges, vertices. So this time it looks like it's going to have to go from the back face. Let's see how that looks. Not as much. Okay. So we'll go here and we'll take that one off. And we'll choose that bottom edge again. So we'll say the edges, vertices. There we go. Check. All right. Yeah, that looks much better. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing here with step 3. So edges, vertices, or face. There we go. Check. All right. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and click done for editing explode 1. And now you can see that we kind of go back to our main view, right? So this is our normal assembly. And that looks pretty good. So if we need to ever get back to that, we just pull the tab open. We can go look at explode 1. You'll see it activates it again. And then we can get out of that if we need to. All right, so we have most everything that we need done to go over to the drawing sheet. So we're going to go over here now, and we're going to create a new drawing sheet by clicking the little plus in the bottom. We're going to click plus, we're going to click create drawing, choose whatever size drawing sheet you want. I'm just going to stick with an ANSI A, which is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet. All right, and the first thing that happens is when it pops up, it wants to know like what parts do you want to put in this drawing. Okay, I don't want to put individual parts in here, but I want to put the whole assembly in. So I'm going to ignore this part studios, and we're going to go over here to assemblies. And then that is assembly 1. That's the assembly that we just created. And you can see if I kind of hover it right there, the front view is oriented correctly. But if I needed to, if I was looking for the front view. Maybe I did it backwards or something. You can always switch the view here, so I can instead maybe the right view is actually a better front view, but not in this case. So you can change what view you're looking at here. I'm going to go back to front, and I'm going to go ahead and place that there. All right, now when I do that, you can see, even though I've only clicked one time to place it, when I move to the right, it gives me the right view. If I move up, it gives me the top view. If I move at an angle, it gives me the isometric view. So it doesn't really matter which one you want to start with, but like I'm just going to go straight to the right, click, and it will place the right view. But then now you can see like it's not doing that anymore. It's not giving me the option to do the ISO or to do the top view. But it did leave this up here. You notice that this projected view is still highlighted. So it's saying, do you want to continue projecting views based off of another view? And I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to click on the front view, and then it's going to do the same thing. So now I can move up, click that, and then it's still highlighted. So I can click on the front view again, move up 45 degrees. We have our ISO. All right. And now we can do our exploded view. So this time, instead of doing a projected view, I'm going to go back to insert view. All right, and I want to do assembly 1, and I don't want to do the front view. I want to do an isometric view, and instead of doing default, I want to do explode 1. Okay, and so you can see there is explode 1. I'll put that kind of up here towards the corner. All right, and it takes it a second, but there it goes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put our bill of materials in now that we already created, and that is this button right here. So click on the bill of material. We'll put that right there. You can see that populates nicely. And then we just need to put our callouts on there. So callouts are right here next to the text. And we're just going to click on each part and say, like, put your little bubble letters wherever you want them. So it automatically does the right one. But now we have quite a bit of information about each one of the parts. So we know that part number 1 is the arch block. It's made out of birch, and so on and so forth. The final thing in the assignment is to put notes in, and you can see we just used the text feature right here. So so I can put in whatever I want. So we can say, you know, blocks assembled using wood glue, and I hit enter to go to the next line. That way I didn't run into the block there. And again, you can highlight your text, you can change the size of the text, you can make it bold, italic, etc., all through the menu right there. So we'll hit check on that. I'm going to hit escape so I'm not drawing any more text. You can move that to wherever you need, but we'll just maybe throw that right there is fine. And finally, just throw some dimensions on this. So we're going to just give a little bit of information about where these parts are located. So that looks good right there, 1/2 inch, and then we said that we set this over 0.0625, so yeah, that looks good right there. So should have enough information about where the blocks are located. Throw that in there if we want, but whatever looks good for you is fine. So that's a quick rundown on how to document your assembly assignment in Onshape.